Today, we are diving deep into a concept from Sun Tzu's The Art of War that's over 2,000 years old, but it is as powerful as ever. It's called Qi, which we translate as energy. And believe me, it's the key to turning an impossible situation into a decisive victory. Now, when you hear energy, don't think about fighting spirit or morale. This is something else entirely. A hidden strategic force that can make an army seem unstoppable. So let's break it down.
Here's our game plan. First, we're going to figure out what Sun Tzu actually meant by energy. Then we'll get into its core components, the dance between the direct and the indirect moves, how to build momentum that's literally unstoppable, and the incredible power of a combined force. And finally, we'll see how all of this comes together to deliver that one final knockout blow.
All right, let's jump right in with the central puzzle that this whole idea of energy is designed to solve. And at its heart, it's a paradox of command that honestly seems to break all the rules of logic.
Now just stop and think about that for a second. Sun Tzu is claiming that managing a massive army, tens of thousands of soldiers, is no different than leading a small squad. I mean, how on earth is that even possible? It just seems to fly in the face of common sense.
So that's the big question, right? It's not about having a louder voice or more lieutenants running around. The answer, according to Sun Tzu, lies in mastering a single, incredibly elegant concept.
And here it is, energy, or Qi. And let's be crystal clear about this. This has nothing to do with how pumped up your soldiers are or how physically strong they are. It's all about the potential energy you build into your strategy before the first arrow is ever fired. It's a force you create through smart positioning, building unstoppable momentum, and of course, perfect timing. It's almost like physics, but applied to the chaos of a battlefield.
So, how do you even begin to build this kind of strategic energy? Well, it all starts with mastering two sides of the very same coin. The move your enemy expects and the one they never ever see coming. Sun Tzu called them the Cheng and the Qi.
The difference is actually pretty simple on the surface. The Cheng, or the direct, that's the obvious move. It's the frontal assault, the thing that grabs all of the enemy's attention. But the Qi, the indirect, that's the real magic. It's the surprise, the flank attack, the maneuver from the rear. It's the move that wins the battle.
And Sun Tzu himself just lays it out so perfectly here. You absolutely need the direct attack to engage the enemy, to fix them in place, to make them react to you. But it's the indirect, the unexpected move that secures the win. One holds them down, and the other delivers the final blow.
So really, what's the ultimate goal here? It's all about masterful deception. You use the direct to make the enemy think they've got you figured out. You force them to focus on one threat, all while the real danger, the indirect force, is building up somewhere else entirely.
But here's where it gets really, really cool. A brilliant commander understands that these two forces aren't static. What was your surprise attack one moment becomes the direct focus the next. What started as a distraction can suddenly become the main assault. They just flow into one another in an endless circle, which makes your strategy completely unpredictable.
Okay, so once you've mastered that constant dance between the direct and the indirect, the next step is to build momentum. We're talking about a force so powerful that it almost feels like a law of nature, and Sun Tzu uses these incredible metaphors from the natural world to explain it.
I mean, what an image, right? This is not about two armies trading blows back and forth. This is about building up so much strategic pressure that when you finally let it go, the result is absolutely overwhelming, just like a dam breaking. Your enemy isn't just defeated, they're completely swept away.
And here we go with that physics analogy again. Sun Tzu is saying that a good general doesn't waste energy trying to force things on level ground. No, instead they skillfully maneuver their army onto a strategic slope, a position of such massive advantage that the attack that follows becomes, well, natural, effortless, and totally unstoppable.
So, what's the formula here? It really boils down to a three-step process. First, you find that strategic high ground. You create the perfect position. Second, you have to wait. You exercise disciplined patience until the exact right moment arrives. And then third, when that moment hits, you commit everything. You release your force with total, absolute decisiveness.
This brings us to the final, crucial element of building energy. This is not about individual heroes saving the day. It's about getting the entire army to act as one single, devastating weapon. This is such a critical insight for any leader. A wise general doesn't demand that every single soldier be a superhero. Instead, they focus on the collective force of the group. They build a system where the combined energy of the whole army is what truly matters.
The general's real job is to be like a master conductor, to recognize the unique skills of everyone in the army and put them in a position to succeed, so that everyone's efforts create a single, unified momentum. It's all about synergy. The power of the whole becomes so much greater than the sum of its parts.
And this is Sun Tzu's ultimate metaphor for energy. Just think about it for a second. A round stone sitting on flat ground, it's harmless. But you take that same stone and put it at the very top of a mountain, its potential energy, its chi, is enormous. And once you let it go, its momentum is unstoppable. That is Sun Tzu's vision for the perfect fighting force. Okay, let's bring it all home. How does all this carefully built-up energy, this mix of deception, positioning, and momentum, actually lead to that final decisive victory?
Sun Tzu gives us one last, absolutely brilliant analogy. All the planning, the maneuvering, the patient waiting, all of it is like slowly drawing back the string of a giant crossbow. You are deliberately, methodically building immense potential energy.
And that final decision to attack, that's just releasing the trigger. It is the single instant that all of that stored up potential energy is converted into overwhelming kinetic force, aimed right at the enemy's weakest spot.
So you see, here's the key takeaway. The victory isn't really won during the fight itself. It was secured long before that, by building a superior strategic position. The battle is just the final, inevitable release of all that pent-up energy.
And when that energy is released correctly, the result isn't a fair fight. It's a conclusion as certain and as devastating as a grindstone smashing an egg. That, right there, is the true power of Xi'an.
So I'll leave you with this thought. Sun Tzu was writing about warfare 2,500 years ago, but these principles are absolutely timeless. I mean, think about a tech startup that uses a clever, indirect approach to outmaneuver a huge corporation, or a chess master setting a trap 10 moves in advance. It is all about building that potential energy and releasing it at the perfect moment. So the real question is, where do you see this power of momentum and positioning at play in your world? That's something to really think about.